All right, hello everybody. I'm hoping it's working. This is my not five, first Facebook Live broadcast ever. So it's going to be crazy. There may be logistical issues. It could be crazy, but we're going to have fun. And we're going to get started in just a second. But I wanted to let you know who I am and what this is about. My name is William O'Day. I'm a writer, generally post-apocalyptic, although I do have two daughters and I write middle grade fiction for them too. And today we're going to be reading, or I will be reading to you, something kind of an experimental, a radical really, experiment in collaboration with readers that I recently started, and it's called The Dark and Dangerous Road. And what it is just a little bit of a reason or the background of why I decided to do it is I'm still figuring out my writing process. And so between books, it could be, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. It could take a while between books. And I start to feel like I'm losing that engagement with readers and, it affects my productivity. And so I wanted to figure out a way to, involve readers on a more regular basis, even though, if my books still take a few months to come out. So what I thought of was this particular project. And what it came from was way back in the day when I was a kid. I loved reading choose your own path adventure books. So those are the type of books, where you read a little bit, a chapter or two or whatever, and then you come to a story fork basically. And then you as the reader get to choose, like, okay, am I going to jump off the cliff? Am I going to climb down the cliff? Am I going to run away the opposite direction from the cliff? And then you go to a different page and you continue your adventure there. Well, this is similar. It's somewhat like that in that there's a closed Facebook group and it's for readers. And each week I put out a couple of chapters, and we've just started this where I'll be reading chapters 1 and 2 of this story today. And the readers just last night decided, or the poll closed, and they decided which of the options at the end of those 2 chapters on how to move forward. So it just seemed like a really fun way. And it's when I first thought of the idea, it was both terrifying and exciting at the same time, because one is this is very much kind of a raw, unpolished sort of approach to writing. Like when I finish these chapters, it's on a weekly basis. They're not going to an editor and copy editor or anything like that. I'm giving it a few read-throughs and doing a grammatic check and then posting it in the group. And so they get to see it. It's very much like a, check out what's under the hood sort of situation. So it's very raw and crazy like that. But the idea came, and knowing, how scared I was about it to do it was also equally thrilling, because it was like, it was amazing to think about. I'm going to get to connect with you guys, readers, and every week you're going to get to let me know what you think about the story and where it should go next, and then I'm going to do my best to push the story forward, with whatever is chosen at the end of each week, at the end of when the polling closes. So again, I just wanted to say hello and welcome. This is my first Facebook Live video. Crazy, right? So let's see. I think folks are coming in. Let me check the phone here, and we will see as people roll on in. And it looks like we're starting to have some people come in. That's good. Let's take a look over, see who's around. Oh, wait, there we are. And you know what I just realized? And this is, again, first time. I've got a sweet lapel mic here, and it's totally not doing anything when this thing is not plugged in. I'm assuming you're probably still picking up mic from the laptop here, which is not going to be quite as good. So I'm going to plug it in here and get super professional. All right. Hopefully that better. If you can hear me, if I'm coming through loud and clear, can you please shoot me a wow face in the comments so I can see that you're actually hearing this and everything's coming through great. And I'll just keep going, and I'll check those, or I'll take a look at those as they come by. All right, so where we are is, I also want to introduce throughout this reading, if you want to leave comments or whatever in the post here, Feel free to do that at the end of, say, like at the end of the first chapter, we'll just do a little check-in, and at the end of the second chapter, we will again do a little check-in. And let me just try to make sure I'm actually broadcasting. Yes, first broadcasting ever. Hopefully this will be smoother next time, right? I'm sure it will be. All right, so let's see here. Oh, and the good news is, between, I have a little helper, basically, and you may have seen it advertised there, and that helper's name is Comment Dog. And let me just introduce you just for a second to Comment Dog. He's amazing. Comment Dog, you're amazing. Let's get him on screen for a second so you can meet him. He'll keep an eye on the feed, and then check in later, and he'll read your comments live and that kind of thing. So, Comment Dog, are you around? Can we see you? Oh, yes, I'm here. Hello, everyone. I will be keeping an eye, as Will said, on the comments, and we'll check in later in the show. So if you have any, I'll be reading them loud and clear and live for you later. So let's get on with the show if you're ready, Will. All right, Comment Dog. Hey, that guy's crazy. So let's just roll forward here, and Comment Dog will keep an eye on the feed for us. So we're going to start with chapter 1, and I think let me make sure my notes here. Yep, that's where we are in the notes. So here we are. Reading voice time. 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Robert Frost. No, I didn't write that. Of course, that's a very famous little segment of poetry, but it seemed like it was a really, really pertinent sort of quote for the story that we're writing here, and the live sort of choosing of paths. Chapter 1. I awoke into darkness with howling sirens stabbing daggers into my ears. Hands clamped over them to muffle the bone-jarring volume. It took a second before I realized the hands were mine. The sound vibrated through my head, the pitch sliding up and down in rhythmic agony. I glanced around, or at least thought I did. It was hard to know for sure because the uniform darkness gave no hint of movement, of difference, of variation. There was nothing but the infernal noise. A thought struck me, almost a physical blow. Was I dead? Was it possible to be dead and reflect upon the experience? Another sound floated to the surface, a thumping beat starting in my chest and echoing in the hollow of my throat. Only, it wasn't a sound. It was a feeling, a heart thrashing in a chest like a madman in a straitjacket. I shifted, and lancing pain shot through my shoulder. I grunted and froze until the sensation ebbed. That settled it. I was definitely alive. Not unless corpses felt pain and were susceptible to siren-induced madness. And then another thought hit me. This harder than the last, like an avalanche. Who was I? I tried to think back to anything that came before. Weren't memories supposed to work like a light bulb? You flicked the switch and they lit up in an instant. Something flickered at the edges of my awareness. A round face with trusting eyes and a button nose. A child. A girl with rolling black hair that glistened like oil under the sun. Who was she? A realization bubbled up. I waited, eager with anticipation. But then it popped and left nothing behind. My wandering focus noticed dampness in my right palm. For really, there's actually dampness in my right palm right now because I'm nervous. Moving on. All right, where were we? I pulled away and rubbed sticky fingers together. An electric jolt raced through my jaw, the sirens at full volume, the sound of the end of the world shrieking higher and lower and back again. I slapped my hand back over my ear and the squish hinted at blood. The impact sent another shockwave bouncing through my skull, bringing tears to my eyes. A foul scent filled the air like fresh dung baking in the sun. My nose wrinkled in disgust. Another scent mixed with it, a sharper one. Old sweat that had long gone rancid. A deep mineral flavor lingered on my tongue. I had a brain to observe the physical sensations, a mind to consider them. I was definitely alive. So what was my name? How could I not know it? And then it appeared from the impenetrable shadows of my subconscious. This time, the thought stayed long enough to be captured. Scout. Scout. Right? It had a familiar feeling like a pair of worn slippers. Yes, Scout was my name. Excited by the realization, I hurried to the next thought waiting in line. Did I have a last name? Those were normal, right? I waited for it to follow, but nothing more came. Bright white lights flickered from above, and the sirens cut to eerie silence. The ringing still echoed in my head. I kept my ears covered in case they started again. The lights above continued to flicker until one snapped brighter than the rest and stayed on. Through squinted eyes, I peered around. A large wooden desk took up most of the view. Intricate patterns of filigreed detail covered the surface. In the center, a carved eagle with spread wings. Letters on a flowing ribbon above its head. Arrows clenched in one claw. A branch covered with leaves and small berries in the other. I reached out a fingertip to the shield on the eagle's chest, half expecting to pass through like a mirage, half in awe at how my trembling hand moved almost by itself. It stopped at the hard surface. I ran it along the spine of one spread wing, the golden wood cool to the touch. It was real as the crimson covering my hand and soaked into what used to be the light blue cuff of a long-sleeved shirt. I rotated my hand back and forth, observing how the viscous liquid slid to the lowest point again and again. Tiny drops broke free and splattered onto the plush cream carpet below. There was a paper on the carpet, a children's drawing done in bright crayon colors, a stick figure man with a blue outlined suit that hung from the figure like a hanger. Arms splayed out to the sides. One side held hands with a shorter stick figure, a girl with black hair and a round circle face, both looking forward and smiling. A message written in cursive above the figures, yellow crayon with a smudge showing where a mistake had been fixed and written over. I love you, Daddy. Hannah. She was the girl I'd remembered. There was a feeling of certainty, of rightness, but nothing more came. A line of warmth trickled down my neck. I touched it with fingers that came away sticky with blood. Why was I bleeding, and why so much? Furious pounding sounded through an unobtrusive door in the curved wall a dozen feet away. A gold-framed picture lay on the floor in front of it. A portrait of a pale man in a black suit with a black bow tie. A narrow face with wrinkled cheeks and a short beard. A second later, the door crashed open and a broad-shouldered man rushed in. His dark shoe stomped a hole through the canvas as he entered. He dropped to a knee beside me. Mr. President, are you okay? And there ends chapter 1. We'll take a quick, brief break here and check in with Comment Dog. I think Comment Dog, do we have some live, it looks like we have some live cameras that Comment Dog is patching through to me. So I'm going to check in with them and we'll see. It looks like the first commenter goes by the name of Pugnacious. Pugnacious, are you there? Did you have a comment you'd like to share? Whoa. 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 All right, Comment Dog. Man, I think Comment Dog really enjoyed that first chapter. But not everybody will, I understand that, maybe not as much. Let's check. Oh, we have one more. We got another live camera coming through. Thank you, Comment Dog. He's spliced it in for me. Let's check in. This is Literary Lassie. Literary Lassie, go ahead. Yeah, welcome to the show or broadcast. Well, I'd have to say it was not literary in the least. It was boring, thematically barren, and I don't know, I'd have to say I was not impressed, not in the least. There was too much flim-flam, too much violence, too much action with no emotions, I don't know, maybe chapter 2 will be better. I'll stick around, we'll see. Oh, Literary Lassie! You didn't like it, I guess. Sorry, Literary Lassie. This is definitely not a literary story, so I don't know if this is going to work for you. But we'll continue. Let's check into, let's see if we have Comment Dog. Do we have any comments coming from the in the feed for this post. Let's see. Oh, Literary Lassie. We do have a few comments, and we're going to go ahead and read them. And Comment Dog. Can you go ahead and read them for everybody? Yep, he's gonna. Let me get over to Comment Dog. Oh, here we are. I'm checking the live feed. Oh, it's Kim. Hello, Kim. I'll pass your message along to Will. Will's cracking you up, or maybe I'm cracking you up. Comment Dog, I'm far funnier than Will. Will's kind of boring, honestly. That Literary Lassie guy had it right. Sorry, Will. Oh, Sean. Hello, welcome, Sean. Let's hang out sometime. I love what you write. Sean was on Will's podcast a while back, and they had a great time chatting about life and things. Oh, look, Will's mother's here. She says hello. Everyone be nice to her. She can get feisty, you know. You have to be careful with her. Oh, let's see. I think that might be it for now. If you have any more comments, go ahead and leave them in the feed, and then I'll check back at the end of chapter 2. Yes. All right, back to you, Will. All right. Comment Dog. Comment Dog, yes. Thank you for sharing what's in the feed there. I know folks appreciate that, and I appreciate the comments being left. Let's go ahead, why don't we? Let me check the agenda for this live broadcast. And I think it's time to go to chapter 2. Yeah, let's do that. Here we go. Back to reading voice. Chapter 2. His eyes scanned over me with calculated speed before connecting again with my own. Sir, can you understand me? What? The word came from nothing and suddenly was. So, what was my name? How could I not know it? Hold on. I almost just read the wrong page. That would have been a really abrupt and harsh transition. Let's redo that. What? The word came from nothing and suddenly was. I spoke it. How exactly, I couldn't say. It happened in a way that was both natural and not at the same time. Like walking through the front door of your home after an exhausting day at work, but you've never met the woman that kisses your lips nor the children that hug your waist. Like stepping into another version of yourself. The man turned away and raised his wrist to his mouth. This is Agent Barrow. Scout needs immediate medical attention. I repeat, Scout is injured. We need a trauma team in the Oval Office ASAP. Boom! A distant explosion shook the room. A jagged lightning crack appeared in the plaster ceiling above. A fog of dust rained down, filling the air. I sucked in a breath thick with particulates and choked as it scraped down my throat. Agent Barrow wrapped an arm around mine. Sir, we have to get to the PEOB. I stuffed the drawing into my pants pocket and as he pulled me up, I stumbled forward as he dragged me toward the open door across the room. Boom! The tall, narrow windows lining the far side of the room shattered at once. A tornado of razor shards exploded into the room as we dove through the doorway and into the hallway beyond. The explosion threw us both to the carpet. The agent somehow managed to fall on top of me and yet have none of his weight land on mine. His body covered and shielded me. In another instant, we were back up and heading down the hall. We ran through a stately conference room filled with a long, rounded table surrounded by empty leather chairs. Then through a series of hallways and into another larger room. An overturned podium lay on its side at the front. Facing it were several rows of theater-style seating. A black camera with a gray-barreled lens attached was pinched between the cushions of one of the collapsed seats. We passed through several more rooms. The evidence of people was strewn everywhere. Papers and folders scattered across tabletops and the floor. A half-filled cup of coffee with whispers of steam curling up into the air. Someone's security badge lost or forgotten. A blue, high-heeled shoe. But there were no people. No bodies. It was like walking into a studio stage and everything had been meticulously placed for the scene about to be shot. But the director, the crew, and all the actors were still back in their trailers waiting for the call. We entered a wide hall and a gust of chill wind blew through, making the hairs on my arms stand on end. I glanced right, and my mouth hung open. That's some live acting for you. The front half of the building was gone. Huge chunks of masonry peppered the floor. Exposed pipes, splintered beams, Exposed pipes, splintered lumber, bent and sheared metal beams, the open sores of the 2 stories above. Outside, white pillars in various stages of decay lined an arched patio. They resembled the ancient ruins of Rome. 2 were cut stumps. Another couple were shorn in half and crumbling away as I watched. Another couple stood tall. A section of roof arching between them was all that remained to hint at what had been before. "Stop!" someone yelled. Agent Barrow dove behind an upturned desk with me shoved forward in front. He pushed my head down with one hand and drew a pistol with the other. "Stay down, I'll handle it." I nodded with eyes wide and mind numbed by the sights, the sounds, the situation. "Mr. President," the other voice shouted, "this is Agent Mackenzie. The man you're with isn't who you think he is." Agent Barrow peeked around the corner, fired off several shots, and then ducked back behind cover. "Don't listen to him. He's trying to trick you." He scanned the room and pointed. "When I say go, you run like hell. I'll cover you, okay?" I saw the entry to another hall and nodded. "Mr. President," the other voice called, "you'll die if you go with that man. Please, listen to me." "Go," Agent Barrow said. That was pretty intense. Wow. I hesitated. I had no idea who this man was. "Go, now!" He rolled out of cover and snapped off several shots. Crouching low, I sprinted toward the hallway. Boom! The ground shook, knocking me to the floor. My eyes squinted open to the world standing sideways. I lifted my head and righted the orientation. The other man stood with his shoe pressing down on Agent Barrow's chest and a pistol pointing at his head. 2 flashes of bright light and blood splattered onto the carpet. The man spun around and saw me. He ran over and knelt next to me. "Mr. President, are you okay?" His hands slid over me, searching for wounds. The scan ended at my head. He turned it and pressed his lips together in a tight, flat line. "Sir, you're pretty beat up. We need to get you down to the PEOB. There's a trauma team waiting." He pulled me to my feet as I studied his face. Why couldn't I remember it? Who was this man? And who was the dead Agent Barrow? And what about what Barrow had said, that I would die if I went with this man, this Agent Mackenzie? Shouting from somewhere nearby echoed into the room. "We have to go now, sir." I needed a minute to think, a minute to figure out what was happening and who I should trust. "Now, sir, we don't have a second to lose." He started to push me forward. I went with the movement to give my response space, time, and inertia. I grabbed his wrist and rotated into the move, pulling him forward and off balance. My hips dug under his as my pulling and his falling worked toward the same end. He catapulted head over heels and crashed to the floor. The hand holding the pistol wheeled around and slammed into the floor, knocking the gun free. It bounced a couple of feet away and settled on the carpet. The impact stunned him for a second. No more, though, as he was already turning to right himself, but it was long enough. I dove for the pistol, grabbed it, and rolled sideways into a kneeling position with one knee down and the other foot out for balance. The pistol snapped up and the muzzle centered on his chest as he stood. "Don't move," I yelled. He raised his hands. "Mr. President, it's me, Mackenzie. You can trust me, sir." And so ends chapter 2. And the choices, as I mentioned, this was like a choose your own path for readers, where they get to boss me around to drive the story forward, which sounds, as I said, both terrifying and entertaining. So the choices for this chapter, and the group has already made it, and I'll tell you what they chose. But the first one was, should I believe what Agent Barrow said and make a run for it? That's number 1. Number 2, should I believe what Agent Barrow said and shoot Agent Mackenzie to neutralize the threat and then make a run for it? And then choice 3, should I believe Agent Mackenzie and go with him? And so that was posted Sunday, about a week ago. That was posted in the group, and the readers overwhelmingly chose a particular option. And we're going to cut back to Comment Dog because he's going to read just a couple of the comments that came from that group. That'll give you a sense of which option they chose. So, Comment Dog, are you around? Can you jump into the live feed here? Well, of course I can. I'm right here, and I hope my voice has stayed the same from the last time you saw me. Well, here we are. Let's read one from Mary. She said, "Go with number 3 and see what's actually going on, but take everything in with caution. I love the fact that the president is a bad bleep. Can't wait to find out more about how he became so skilled. Great so far." And we have another from Lynn. "Who to trust? They both discredited the other.
keep the gun for sure and get out of there. But don't trust him yet. And then we also have one from Linda. I'd go with 3 and keep the gun. I'd want to know about Mackenzie and what he might know. Well, it looks like number 3 took the, took the majority vote by a landslide. So, Will, you'll have to make it harder for them next time. And I also noted in all the comments of the group that most readers felt it really important that the president held on to the weapon. So maybe that's something you should consider. And let's check in for the live feed now and see if we have any comments that can be read aloud as well. All right. Here we are. We're refreshing the comments and seeing who's around and what's happening. And it's hard to tell if it's working at all, but I'm going to assume that it is. Back to you, Will. All right, Comment Dog, thank you for reading those. That was very helpful. So let me check my agenda. My wife's very organized. She always lets me know it's important to have an agenda so you know where you're going. Let's see. So we got the, we needed to check in with our 2 favorite commenters. Pugnacious, it looks like he has something to say. And then it looks like Literary Lassie also is waiting on the, yep, there's the live feed there, the notification. So we want to make sure and check in with those folks here. Pugnacious, are you there? Can you come in? Looks like he is, okay. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa. Well, it looks like he is still pretty thrilled with where the story's going. That's great. And we have another Literary Lassie. Oh, there's a notification. I guess we should check it. Maybe Literary Lassie's changed his mind. I'm gonna hope so. Literary Lassie, are you there? Are you there? Well, I wouldn't say it got all that much better, but I don't know. Maybe if you introduce some themes of suffering and generational intrigue and, I don't know, something with a family and how they live their lives on a day-to-day basis, maybe that would be better. Something to consider, Will. Well, Literary Lassie, I like that you're hanging in there. I'm just not sure if this story is going to be the one for you, though, because this is more post-apocalyptic action-adventure with, really, I don't know where it's going because the readers will decide that. So, anyway, thank you, though, for joining me, everybody. Let's make sure I want to check my... Oh, if you want to follow this crazy, weird broadcast, I will be reading the next chapters because the group has decided, so I'll be writing those in the next 2 days, posting them on Wednesday, and then the group gets to vote until Sunday to choose which direction to go next. And I promise I'm going to do my best to make it much harder for there to be a majority view, right? Everybody basically voted for number 3, almost everybody, for this round. And then I'll be reading those 2 chapters again next Monday. I think it's going to be also at 11. But you can also hit follow down there in your feed, and that'll give you a live notification of when I jump on and we start to read the chapters. And yeah, let me know if you had fun, if you'd like to join me again. I'd love to do it again. It was both weird and hilariously good time all at the same time. So that's it for now. Hope you're having a good day. I'm out of here, and I'll see you soon.